Siobhan Davies. Siobhan Davies was an art student. 1967, she began taking classes at the London Contemporary Dance Theatre, which we've already covered under the Richard Alston screencast. A few years later, she starts performing with them, and a few years later, in 72, she starts choreographing for them. By 1974, she's appointed the associate choreographer, and in 83, she becomes the resident choreographer for the London Contemporary Dance Theatre. At the same time, she starts working more experimentally in the independent sector, first as a dancer with Richard Alston. In 81, she founded and was the artistic director of her own company, Siobhan Davies and Dancers. In 82, she joined forces with him and another gentleman by the name of Ian Spink to form Second Stride, one of the most influential independent dance companies in the 1980s. Her work was less theatrical than most of London Contemporary Dance Theatre pieces and less musical than Richard Alston's. Her main early influence was American abstractionist Merce Cunningham. She began to forge her own path by consciously stopping herself from thinking about style, technique, or meaning in her pieces. In 87, she leaves London Contemporary Dance Theatre, she leaves Second Stride, and she leaves Britain, taking a sabbatical in America on a Fulbright Arts Fellowship. When she comes back, she joins Rambert Dance Company as the associate choreographer, and in 92, she founded Siobhan Davies Dance Company. For the next 10 years, she discovers rhythmic variety, creates emotive drama entirely through movement and framing rather than acting. She hones expressiveness of gestures and very small details. She receives a string of awards and commissions during this time, including making pieces for the Royal Ballet. In the year 2000, she turns away from the established theatrical circuit and makes pieces for non-proscenium spaces, such as galleries, art studios, and aircraft hangars. She presents her work from different angles, and she likes to move the audience around. She creates choreographic equivalent of poems. She likes to think of complex forms and simple words rather than movement vocabulary. She considers the movement itself strands of literature. She becomes part choreographer, part curator, presenting dance within a visual art setting. In 2006, she establishes a permanent home for her company in London. Aspects of her choreographic movement, she's often been compared to Trisha Brown in terms of style. She uses simple plots, both narrative and abstract. Her movement is expressive, and she likes to show the human condition, the struggles, the hardships, as well as joy. She collaborates with her dancers by giving them a certain amount of freedom in terms of when they when they interact with the music. Her movement oftentimes is deeply personally derived, comes from a personal, emotional space or place. The following pictures, this one shows the freedom that dancers are given within phrases. Sometimes when they start and finish, when they move to the next phrase. This one depicts how her movement is often starts with a gesture and then is abstracted into something else. And then this is an example of how she treats groups and attempts to show the human condition within groups, not necessarily them doing simultaneous identical movement, but possibly showing the need for changes in pacing, tempo, levels, and direction facings.